broke, ain't got any money. We can't keep on borrowing $300 million each week. It is just not sustainable. And that is why John Key has outlined a plan for building on the recovery. And the government makes no apology for that, for continuing to build a brighter future for New Zealand. The government's 2011 program will focus on building the foundations for a stronger economy and building better results from the public services. Building a strong and solid economy is going to be absolutely critical in going forward, and it will be a strong economy that will give New Zealanders jobs, increased incomes, better standards of living. And compared to other countries, Mr. Speaker, our public services are bloated. New Zealand needs and deserves efficient and responsive public service that will ultimately improve the lives and the well-being of New Zealanders. And at this stage, I'd like to congratulate Minister Tony Ryall for the fantastic leadership he's showing in the health sector. The immunisation targets were well ahead of schedule. The cancer waiting list targets, the DHBs are achieving those. Under Labor, there were terrible stories of women having to go to Australia to get radiotherapy. It was devastating to them and their families at this very vulnerable time. The emergency department targets are being achieved by DHBs around the country. The voluntary bonding scheme has been unprecedentedly welcomed by doctors and nurses and midwives. And that will be one solid way we are going to keep our professionals in New Zealand through the voluntary bonding scheme. It's been fantastic. Electives, again, numbers have been unprecedented and been achieved by DHBs around the country. We heard today in the Health Select Committee from Lester Levy, who is now the chair of the Waitemata DHB and also more recently the Auckland DHB. When Lester became the chair of the Waitemata DHB, the DHB had terrible problems. There was a deficit, morale was low, the culture needed changing. There were terrible problems with the emergency department, with long waiting times, and the Waitaki Emergency Department had problems opening 24/7 for both children and adults. That's all changed. There were daily reports in the newspaper, bad press of patients having bad experiences. We were delighted to hear that has changed, and that's all due to leadership by Lester Levy, and he's doing a wonderful job, and I congratulate him for doing that. But it goes back to the economy, Mr. Speaker. If we need to get the money to buy the medicines, to invest in new technologies, to help New Zealanders stay healthy and to keep them well, we're going to need a strong economy. And the fact is, that's really what this government is about. It is a key cornerstone of where we need to go, and that's a solid economy to build for a brighter future. The simple fact is, when the government came into power after the 2008 election, the economy was in recession, had been so for almost a year, and that was on the backdrop of a worsening international economic crisis. So the most immediate focus this government had to go about after the election was to steady the economy and pull it back onto a growth path. And that is why building the foundations now for a stronger future is so critical. That is the only way we will get people jobs, higher incomes, better standard of living, and for the New Zealand that they deserve. We are rebalancing the economy away from a debt-fuelled consumption and government spending towards savings, investments and exports. We are reducing new spending in Budget 2011 so we can return to surplus sooner. We are getting better value for taxpayer money, including considering ways to streamline and improve performance of bureaucracy. Our other priorities include building world-class infrastructure to help businesses compete, building skills and knowledge for future-proof jobs, helping exporters to sell more of their goods to the world at a better price, and giving businesses confidence and certainty to invest in and create new businesses, to take on more workers and pay them more. That is so important. And we have made progress. We know in 2011 the economy is forecast to grow in excess of 3%, which will result in better job prospects and higher incomes for many New Zealanders. While the immediate crisis is over, our focus is now on repairing the systemic imbalances, and that is why it's so important that we keep on steering that economy away from consumption and spending to savings, investments and exports. Mr. Speaker, the extension of the 90-day trial period is part of building the economy. It will give, and it is giving, businesses the confidence to hire and will give job opportunities for those who don't have a track record or work history, such as migrants, youth and women returning to the workforce. National is a party that backs businesses and backs workers because we know that without jobs, New Zealand and New Zealanders will not get ahead. Having a job is crucial for self-esteem, giving people choices and independence. And that is why the government has an unrelenting focus on getting people into jobs, and we make no apology for that. Increasing the number of jobs that aren't available doesn't magically appear out of thin air. A business needs to see the opportunity to expand and have the confidence to hire new staff. And our nation's backbone, quite frankly, is small to medium businesses. The fact is that 99% of New Zealand businesses, which employ 60% of our workers, are small to medium businesses, enterprises. These businesses generate a big part of our wealth. When they prosper, we all prosper. And our plan for small to medium businesses links with our plan for growing the economy. And this 90-day trial period is an integral part of our 2008 election promise, and we have followed through with that. Recent research, Mr. Speaker, has confirmed the trial period has been a positive experience. It has shown that the trial period has a positive impact on job numbers for small employers at a time of rising unemployment. The analysis by the New Zealand Institute of Economic Research looked at the impact of the trial period over 6 months following its introduction in March 2009. The review was during a time when the actual labour market overall was shedding workers due to the recession, and indeed the unemployment peaked at 7.1% that particular year. The research by the NZIER showed that the total job numbers for the firms reviewed were higher by about 2%. While it's still very encouraging in early days for this policy, it's very promising that this proposed extension is actually showing this small benefit quite early on. I mean, goodness me, the near hysteria when the 90-day trial period was extended was really quite astonishing. Anyone thought we were sweatshops had been introduced and we'd been transported back to the 19th century. The ill-informed critics who call this policy fire at will are really ignorant of the commercial facts of life. A business who wants to compete and get ahead won't be relentlessly hiring and firing, and that's an utterly ridiculous suggestion. It costs money and time to train staff. And it's evident from the research that's been done that the employers are more willing to take a chance on someone that they otherwise wouldn't, and this is where the trial period is valuable. And it's worth noticing that many other developed countries actually have similar policies and go further than we have with our particular 90-day policy. Mr. Speaker, under the last Labour government, the economy got way out of balance and kilter, and this government is determined to reduce our reliance on foreign lenders and building Kiwi-owned savings and investments. We are considering advice on extending the mixed public-private ownership model for our 4 state-owned enterprises. That will be a way that we can release money that can be reinvested and in turn give it the opportunity for New Zealanders to invest. Instead of money going offshore to be invested, ACC, the Superannuation Fund, KiwiSaver and iwi will be able to invest in these state-owned enterprises. Mr. Speaker, it will be a win-win situation, and this government is determined about building a brighter future for New Zealand. And that is why this government's focus this year will be on 2 main goals. First, building the foundations of a stronger economy and building better results from public services.